everybody. This is Cathy Podewell, Judy from Night of the Demons, and you are listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. He tells great jokes. He's a great guy.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a guest that I've been wanting to have on the show for a long time. It's just been a long time coming. Janus Blythe. You all know her from The Hills Have Eyes, and Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive, and The Incredible Melting Man, directed by William Sachs, another guest of mine, and a couple other great films. I'm having her on the show today to talk about all that stuff, and I can't wait. Like I said, you know, Ruby in The Hills Have Eyes is just a iconic villain of a horror character, and it's just going to be just superb. There's no other way of putting it. So yeah, here is my interview with Janus Blythe.
Hello?
Hey, Janus.
Hey, how's the connection?
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Okay, good, because sometimes your cell phones, you know.
Yeah, believe me, I know. I was using my cell phone in the beginning, and then I stopped after like maybe 2 episodes because the sound wasn't great.
Okay, good.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, thank you. Doing okay out here in Palm Springs?
Oh, beautiful. I wish I was there right now.
It's a beautiful day. It's this time of the year, you know, called season.
Mm-hmm.
Where everybody comes from all their snow-burdened homes and come near to the sun.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time today, finally.
I know, we finally did it, huh?
So,
okay.
Going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on?
Actually, I did. When I was really tiny, I would grab my mother if there's any kind of a modeling show or a fashion show. I went to Sears Charm School, and I started dancing when I was really small. My mother didn't know what to do with all my energy, so she kept me in dance class, which was a great thing to do. And I was on Popeye and Chuckle the Clown.
Wow.
Going back, he said, so we're going back. And yeah, my cousin said when I was 13, I was in Boston, Massachusetts, for a visit. He said I told him I was going to be an actress, and I don't remember ever saying it, but he said I did. So I guess, yes, it was something I always wanted to do.
You know, you did school plays and community theater and all that?
Nope, did not. I didn't do anything until I was in my teens, and actually, I was working in a clothing store. I was on 4th floor, where you can go to school for 4 hours, and you can work in your senior year. And I was in a clothing store, and I met this producer, and I met the casting directors that came in and said, you have quality, and we want you to come over. And there's one man, he took me to an acting class, and they threw me up there with some paper in my hand and said, okay, just, you know, read. And the acting teacher, Ivan Van Gogh, he wrote a note saying, she's a natural. And that was the beginning. I quit my day job and just started doing acting classes, and I started as an extra. I started doing extra parts, you know. And they lined us up and said, okay, there was a gang. I did this movie. I forgot the name of it. Forgive me for that, but it was a gang, and they had us as extras. And said, okay, we're going to need some extras to stay on. Those of you who can't stay, move to the right. Those of you who can stay where you are. And my feet wouldn't move. I'm going, Janus, you have a job, you know, now. You push move to the right. I wouldn't move. And he went, and you. So that was it for me. That was the beginning.
Wow. And
yeah.
You're originally from Boston?
No. I was born in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Because you mentioned Boston before.
I did. My cousin. My cousin was there. Yeah. My father. He came from Boston.
I see. So did you study with anybody famous when you took classes?
Conrad was He was really known for film acting classes. He was pretty well known. He graduated me, which made me feel good and horrible at the same time. I didn't want to graduate. I wanted to continue taking class, but I love class because you could just let it all out. Just drop whoever you are and become that part. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and as an extra, whenever they would say, okay, we have these extras and you're supposed to be a tourist in Mexico, I would go as a native. I would go the opposite. So I always would be picked out and put up front on these movies. I would hang out in the room where they would set up the cameras and watch everything. And while all the other extras were in the other room smoking their cigarettes and talking and playing games or whatever, I wouldn't be there. I'd be in the room where they were doing the cameras and stuff. And they would say, and you. They would pick me out for something in like Aloha Bobby and Road. So I got that little part in that movie, if you've ever seen it or not.
Oh, yeah.
They had me dance up on the bar. I went dressed as a native waitress in Mexico.
Yeah, I have a friend. She had a bit part in that movie, Terry Bolo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember Primal Man?
Primal Man? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went for an audition for that. They were a cattle call, basically. They would take like 15, 20 of us in a room, and they said, just, go down there. And everyone's in their dresses and their suits and like that. I went dressed like an animal girl in my leather, bare legs, my hair. I went dressed like Ruby, and I'm the only one there looking like a cannibal. And the producer came down the hallway and said, "You, come here." And he threw me over his shoulder to walk me down. Oh, the director did that, I'm sorry. And threw me over his shoulder down to the producer's office. This doesn't mean you have the part, but, you did that. And, of course, I did get a part. That story was kind of like very odd. There were two parts available. They told me one was going to be the Virgin, who was going to fly up to the Mammoth, where they were going to be shooting that. Mm-hmm. The other one was going to be the bride, the first wedding ever between tribes, and that'd be up in Ottawa, or a bus ride. And I'm going, I don't want to fly, I don't want the plane, I want to go to Mammoth. And I kept trying to get that part, and they didn't. They cast me as the first bride. The two tribes went to Mammoth. I went to Idlewild, where we took a bite of meat. That was our wedding ceremony, and we ran up to the tent, and they threw some stuffed rice, I guess, at us, and that was the ceremony. But the whole trip, the one that went to Mammoth, they overloaded the plane on the way back. It crashed, and everybody died.
Wow.
Wow, right. And I was begging for that part, because somebody was protecting me then.
How does cannibalism always seem to follow you?
No, I don't know. I just really liked that part of it, Ruby and the Hills Have Eyes, when I went to read for that one. Mm-hmm. There's another story. How did I get that part? Well, there was a place everyone knows about, Schwab's on Sunset. Mm-hmm. In the Schwab's. And actors would go there, not working actors, they'd go there, get a cup of coffee, read the Hollywood Reporter, and chit-chat amongst each other, And I'd go there once in a while and make some friends. And there was an actor named Michael Pataki.
Oh, yeah.
And I went down there one morning and get my coffee, see what's going on. He said, "Hey, you know what? They're testing this movie down the street here off Sunset. Go check it out." And I was really ballsy. I did all that. I would crash interviews. I would sneak on the lots. I would do that. And so I said, okay. So I drove to the house. He told me where it was. Knocked on the door. All these yapping little dogs were barking, and this really huge man answered the door. I'm going, oh my God, this is not going to be an interview, And the guy said, oh yeah, but it's down there on Sunset Plaza. He gave me the address. So I drove a little further, went down there at Sunset Plaza, and that's where Wes Craven was, Peter Rock, and they were casting The Hills Have Eyes. They gave me the script. I did a little reading. He said, take the script home. They wanted me to read for the part that Dee Wallace did. And he said, and come back tomorrow. And I went, and I read it, and when I came back, I said, I really want to read Ruby. No, you're not right for that. I said, I really want to read Ruby. Really, I do. I really love that part. Really and I want to read that part. So let me do that. Let me read the part. And Wes had got it down. The next day, he chose 3 or 4 of us. We chose down to 4 of us. Took us outside in the parking lot. And he said, okay, I want you all to run down to that pole, touch it, and then come run back. Because Ruby, as you well know, is a very physical part.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to see how you run, because if you run like a geek, it's not going to work. So I was a jock. I was an athlete. I was a dancer. I spent my whole life was running in the morning 2-3 miles, going to the gym and doing classes, and going to dance class at night. So I was definitely in shape. So when he said, go, I stood there. And I stared at him, and he looked at me like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you running? And the girls are doing a little run. And I just looked at him, and I took off like a bat out of hell, passed them all by, and came back, first one back. And he smiled at me and said, uh-huh. And then he passed me in the butt.
Wow.
That's how I got Ruby.
Because on IMDb, it said you were originally going to audition for Lynn.
Yes, that's what Dr. Wallace did.
Yeah. I think the movie was Wes's model for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's so much more of an exploitation action movie with some horrific overtones,
Well, I didn't even know this time The Hills Have Eyes was taken off a true story.
Mm-hmm.
So was Eaten Alive. I didn't know either one of those movies were based on true facts. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew about Eaten Alive. There was a guy who used to feed women to alligators.
I thought it was just a bee buddy in his motel. But, yeah. Man, Freddy Krueger was my boyfriend in that one.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get eaten, nope. I got chased through the woods by Neville Brand with a scythe in his hand trying to catch me. But he didn't. And then I flagged the car down, used my car, I had a little Fiat then. He used my car to pick me up. My car had a part in the movie, too.
Yeah, that was like Robert Englund's first horror movie. And, of course, his classic line, "My name is Chuck and I'm ready to fuck," that was used in Kill Bill, the Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yes, it has been brought up to my attention, yes. And that was add-on, too. That wasn't in the script.
Yeah, he was ad-libbing.
And they added it on, and we just did a tribute to Robert Englund. They came out here from the UK with a film crew and contacted anyone who's ever worked with him and put them on interviewed them for doing a special tribute disc to Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fan-funded. I never heard such a thing. I asked them, what does that mean? There are fans, and they contribute this money and build up the money and put down what they want the money to go to. And that's what we go out and do. And we went, really? So the fans funded their trip out here and all the production and everything to create that tribute. Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was your first movie The Centerfold Girls?
It was one of my first. I had a movie, and I had one line in it. It was called First Time, and I was a waitress, and I was getting some guy drinking, being obnoxious, and that's what I remember being my very first movie. So he took up a little parts before I got Ruby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you did one of my favorite Brian De Palma movies, Phantom of the Paradise. Yes,
and I was one of the girls they had a big round bed that looked like a record. And we were all sketching plaid.
Yeah.
And I'm on the poster there, but it says, everybody had a line, and my line was, I don't think much singing was on around here,
Yeah.
And that was my line. And Paul was so wonderful. He gave me all his albums. He was just a wonderful guy.
Mm-hmm. How was Brian De Palma as a director?
He was very detail-oriented. I mean, every part, no matter how little it was, he cast it.
Yeah.
And he was very involved. Everything meant a lot to him, and that's very detail-oriented. I like that.
Yeah, I heard he doesn't pay much attention to the actors. He's more interested in the technical part.
No, I don't know. I wasn't that involved. It was one day, I was there, one line. He was involved with us, but I wasn't there for the whole shoot, so I can't really speak on that.
Yeah. But going back to The Hills Have Eyes, was it really hot out there?
It was freezing.
Oh, freezing.
It was freezing, and I was very little outfit was, it's barely, like you said, I was practically naked. And when we do these panels, we do Q&A after, a screening of the film. And then we have Q&A afterward, and Michael and myself and Susan, and we'll all be up there asking questions. And Dee's the one who brought up that it was freezing, but I ran around and I didn't feel a thing. I was so into character. I didn't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I had, cuts and bruises on me. We were out back there in those mountains, right around those hills, and I didn't remember it being freezing, but they did.
Is it true that you refused to pick up the rattlesnake?
Well, when they cast me in the part, and they told me about the scene, and I went, oh, boy, guys, I've never touched a worm. I can't pick up the snake. They said, don't worry about it, because we have one of our second ADs. She grew up around snakes, so we're going to put your bracelet on her hand, and we'll have to do an insert. We're just picking it. I said, okay, cool. It's great. So by the time we're out there, and we're running around the mountains and hills, and I'm so into character.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Rock, who was a producer, comes up. Now, you gotta imagine this, he has some new shorts on, he was very thin, he had a baseball cap on with a big brim, and he comes over and says, Janus, will you pick up that snake? And I said, Peter, you pick it up, and I'll pick it up. So he goes over, tiptoes, and is just being sleeping, doing nothing. He touches it and drops it and goes, I did it. Now you have to do it. And I said, okay, Peter. But for my scene, they put it up on an apple box with dirt on it, hit it a few times to get it really angry, so it was rattling. Mm-hmm. The snake man was there whose saliva was coming out of his mouth. He'd been bit so many times, he had lost some of his functions. And they had sewn the mouth closed on the sides so it couldn't bite me. And they had melted so there would be no venom in it. They wanted me to be eye level to it and picked up the snake after beating it a few times to make it really angry. I'm going, oh my God. So I'm closing in on it, and I'm getting really, it's like eyeball with the snake. I'm getting there. I'm just about to get the nerve to do it, and he yells, stop, you shouldn't do that. That's for professionals, you shouldn't do that. I went, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't do that. So they stopped, and they found a stick. They had a fork on the end of it, the scene. And so I did the same action again, beat it a few times, did it from the apple box, to the eye level, but I hooked it first with the stick. Then I picked it up. And I really did pick up that live rattlesnake, which is very powerful feeling. It's not slimy at all feeling. It's very strong. And then they took that one away, and the one that I run and actually attacked my brother with, that one was frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So they froze that one. But I found out from Michael Berryman that particular snake that I picked up is the most deadliest rattlesnake on Earth.
Oh, that doesn't help much.
Thank you very much. No one told me that.
Yeah, that doesn't help much. I'm terrified of snakes. I live up here in Redding, where there's snakes everywhere, and the most terrifying thing is you could go a whole year without seeing a snake, and then one day you see some shedded snake skin on the ground, and then that gives you the indication that a snake is in your midst.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
There was one time where we were back there, and we were on break. We were setting up for a shot, and I turn around, everybody's gone. I mean, I'm the only one standing there. I'm going, where did everybody go? And everyone just ran away because a snake got loose. And I'm the only one standing there going, what are you guys running from? I was so ballsy then,
Yeah.
And it was lost in the cabin. They found him, but it was funny because everybody ran away.
Yeah. Oh, snakes. So did you like working with Dee and Suze and Michael and Martin and all of them?
We tight-knit family. We've done a Survivors Reunion at some sci-fi horror events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we went out in Throwback, California, called Monster Palooza. We were out in
I was there.
Cleveland,
Yeah.
and a couple others, and I loved doing those events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you did
that signing, the fans are so appreciative, and it was amazing to me. People walked up and they saw it, and now they're taking their kids to see the movie, and they're just like, well, it's going to live on and on and on, and I'll be long gone. It'll still be going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hills Have Eyes, you know, it's become a cult classic. Who knew? I didn't know, but I just liked challenging parts, because at the time, Tommy, I was offered you know, cheerleader, take off your top, and guys kicking through a hole, you know, watch the girls take a shower. You know, these parts that had nothing to them, and it really was disappointing. And then all of a sudden, parts like this came off, and yeah, I'll take that. And then the director of The Incredible Melting Man, do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. William Sachs has been on the podcast. He's a great guy.
Who's that?
William Sachs, the director.
Oh, yeah. William Sachs saw the footage where they were editing, you know, and he said, just like that, I want her for my movie, just like that. And called me and offered me this part, silent scene, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want me to know that it was a spoof, because he wanted me to play it for real, which I did.
Yeah.
That's how I got the Melting Man. And when we were on set for that one, you know, the big scene where the melting astronaut throws his arm through the glass to get me, and I chop it off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that scene, he kept saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. We're just going to see what happens. So we were doing walkthrough for camera. Everybody was a little cranky. Everybody was hungry. And I said, you know what? William, let's break. Let's break. Let's go have a meal. Everyone can eat. I'm going to lock myself in the closet here until you get back. And so that's what I did, because I didn't want to lose where I was at. If I was sitting around talking and eating, that would be way out of character. So I stayed in the closet, got myself worked up to the entire meal break until they all come back all fat and happy. Everybody got on set, and then he said, okay, boom. And then I did my little part, and when I go in the corner, and I was shrinking down, you know, on the corner, and going out all freaked out, I'm thinking to myself, okay, yell cut. Yeah, cut. No one's yelling cut, because everybody was just stunned, I guess.
Yeah.
They were like taken by what I was doing, and they forgot what they were doing. Until finally I had to say, we didn't call cut. But in that movie, there was a second scene where my character goes catatonic.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to take advantage of certain situations. I said, I don't know what that's like. Can you set me up with one of these side places and get me in there for a day where I could meet some catatonic people? And he did. It was out in Northern California, and I went to a psychiatric ward, and the man walked me down this long hallway. He goes, this is the only key to get out, you know. And he opens up the door, and I go inside, and first thing happens to me is some guy comes right up to me, falls on the ground, puts his foot in my face, and goes, I've got wet feet. I'm thinking, oh my God, do they know that I'm not really a patient here? You know, and I was so afraid that they would forget that I was there, which could be another good movie. So I was there to interact. So I went to therapy, and I played basketball outside, and sat next to a catatonic and guy. He's been like that for a couple of years. But Janus said, oh, she can get him to talk. Absolutely. So I sat next to him. I thought I could bring him out of his little shell, but that didn't happen. It didn't happen. But, yeah, I gathered materials for any part I ever had to do again, and we never did that part. That part of the film, they had to cut out. We didn't even shoot that, where she gets into a hospital and goes catatonic. So, but I love the experience and what I did to, you know, to get to where I was when I was with a monster, Mr. Astronaut.
Yeah, that movie took 14 days to shoot. Was it just very fast and chaotic?
It was very fast. I guess it must have been a little chaotic because, like I said, the crew was on edge, but, you know, when you're only there to do your part, you're not there for the whole thing, you really can't comment on what's happening, so. raining. And it was done at night. It was cold. And, oh, God, forgive me, but I forgot to say this. A melting man, my boyfriend in that film, became famous.
Oh.
In the house first, when Cathy was it?
I'll look him up.
No?
I'll look it up.
Oh, no. He was a famous director big time. Anyway, he goes in the house first and doesn't come back out. Then I go in looking for him. That's how the scene starts. We come back from a movie, remember? Driving up in the truck, and he goes in. Goes, wait a minute, the door's open, and he doesn't come back out.
Yeah.
Oh, shame on me. I should have looked that up. Totally forgot. Okay, forget. Go on.
Jonathan Demme.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Jonathan Demme.
Yeah, I was very shocked when he passed away.
I was shocked when Wes Craven passed away.
Yeah, well, both of them. Yeah. I mean, they're both so great.
Yeah, I've looked at some really great people.
You've worked with a lot of great people. I mean, in Eaten Alive, you worked with Mel Ferrer, Caroline Jones, Stuart Whitman. I mean, that's a great cast there. Marilyn Burns, what was she? Yeah, Marilyn Burns, what was she like?
I didn't really work with her, so I can't comment.
You have any good stories about Drive-In Massacre?
Another one, yeah, Drive-In Massacre. I always said I would never die in a movie, but that was I was supposed to die, so I said okay. And I remember when I was corking the died up at the door. Everybody applauded. That's all I remember. I did a good job of dying.
I can't believe George Buckflower wrote it. I mean, he's known as the homeless man in Back to the Future.
Yeah, wasn't Buck in my other movie, Soldier's Fortune?
I think he was, yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was he was also in the Wilderness Family movies too. He had a really good career.
When I was in Soldier's Fortune, though, and I met him, and he said I was curious how they were going to cast that role because it was a very tricky part. And he said I thought maybe you get someone who beat you masculine because you got it down, girl, you got it down. So, because I had to play 82nd Airborne, I'm not sure if you ever saw that film, but that was my second favorite role. Ruby and then Soldier's Fortune. So those two are my favorites.
I'll check it out.
Okay. Unfortunately, the producer that got into a car accident, and he was really, really hurt. He never really got to follow through with promoting and getting that film out there, and everybody else has, which is a shame for me because it was really a good part. I rescued the girl. I play 82nd Airborne. I'm tough, but I'm still not too tough, Really like that. Yeah.
I forgot to ask, were you disappointed at the way the Hills Have Eyes sequel came out?
Totally. They had a red carpet event, and they sent a limo out, bring me in. Michael was there and at first I was like, how could they possibly do a remake? I don't know. At first I was totally upset, just a little bit, my ego, And then when I got to the red carpet event and they started the movie, and it started out exactly as the original, with the trailer and getting lost there's grandpa at the gas station and all that. Then after that, it goes off the grid. I understand that Wes and his son locked themselves in a room in a hotel and just looked at movie until it was done. But he didn't even, Wes was famous for having female heroines in his films. And then this one, my character wasn't even there. She ran through or something. I don't really remember seeing her. So I was kind of disappointed. But after the screen, and we had the reception, everyone was coming up to Michael and myself. They were all saying, "We love you guys. We like the original." No one was happy with the remake, and that makes it pretty good. And they're all over at Michael and I at the reception.
I didn't care for the remake very much. Yeah. I was reading.
And Hills 2, I wasn't really happy with that either.
Yeah, I mean, I like bad movies, so I still watch Hills 2, but yeah, I mean, it's just weird how that movie came out the way it did. You know, it's like
I think it had too many elements in it with the motorcycle gang and the blind girl, you know. And then again, my character was supposed to die, and I talked to him on location, to Wes, and I said, Wes, now I'm not talking from my ego here, I really wasn't. I said, but Ruby, a strong character, she shouldn't die. You know, you had her in the ending of the Hills where she's standing there with Susan, and you know, they conquer her. You have her coming back. Now she's married to Bobby, and she's back in the desert. She meets her brother. She has these fights. You have her dying, hitting her head on a rock. He said, no, you're right. I'll be right while we're here. Mm-hmm. We had a completion bond. We were running behind like all films do. He had no time to rewrite anything. So when we got to that scene, and you can't remember this because you said you watched it, so and I was hit my head on a rock. I don't die. I don't gurgle, or you know, I just pass out. I figured this way I can come back for Hill 3. Which I'm so surprised didn't happen. I thought for sure. You know, Michael and I were at the hotel coming up with this great concept for Hill 3.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were writing it out loud to each other. It was really, I forgot what it was. We were really good at the time. But we didn't do anything about it, and Hill 3 never happened. And but I didn't die in that film.
Mm-hmm. I was reading that you became Tom Holland's personal assistant. How did that happen?
Well, what'd you read that?
It was on IMDb.
Really? Yeah, Tom and I were friends. He was an actor, and he was writing scripts, and he said he needed help because now he has all this getting things, you know, organized and stuff to do, and I helped him decorate his house, and yeah, and I did that, and then he went on. It was really great experience. He offered me to continue to go with him to the studio when they got, you know, go to the studio to shoot a movie, and I went, but he said to me, but no acting, and I went, oh, Tom, you can't say that to me. So as an assistant, I helped him read some of the actors for his movie, which was that vampire movie, which
Fright Night. Fright Night.
Well, yes, Fright Night. So I was reading the actors for him in front of the casting director and him so they can pick their cast. And then he took me aside and says, okay, now I see why you can't quit acting. You know, which was a great compliment. And he had a little part for me in that film. But then again,
it was cut.
Over, didn't have time, we didn't get to shoot it.
Wow. So it was completely not filmed. That's how it was cut. It wasn't like filmed and then cut.
Huh?
The scene that was that you had.
No, we didn't even get to film it. I was there on set and everything, dressed and everything.
Wow.
And we're just laying so behind. It wasn't a real important part. So it was standing in line at a theater to get in, and there was some interaction, but yeah, it was something that could be cut, and so they didn't shoot it.
I met Tom back in April. Very nice man.
Yeah.
Very nice man. So why did you leave acting?
Well, I didn't leave acting. Now that it's out in the open, you know, the Me Too generation. Well, I was really right there in that time zone. That was really right there part of the whole Me Too. It was so difficult. I can proudly say every part that I have done, TV, film, commercials, all that stuff, I got solely on my talent and didn't have to participate in all that Me Too stuff, but I had that Me Too all the time. It was so exhausting. I was dancing as fast as I can to keep away, you know, to play games and, you know, keep out of that. It was so hard. Even my agent, you know, trying to set me up with this producer. I want to do this movie. You have to do this stuff. It was just really, really horrible. It was really hard. And I got exhausted from it. You know, I just got tired of it. And I wouldn't participate that way until I just kind of like stopped. And I was self-promoting myself all the time. The films that I did, I got on my own. Right. We went through an agent at all. Agents got me the commercials and set me out for the TV parts that I got, but the films were something that I got on my own. And we were really big into genre at that time. And Jamie Lee Curtis had come out. She was big time. And I would hear, well, yeah, we already got Jamie Lee Curtis, so what makes you so special? I'm going, oh my God. So it was so hard and disheartening at the same time. I kind of just stopped pursuing, stopped being so gun-ho. That's how it happened, basically, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really hard to be an agent. It was very difficult.
Yeah, especially at that time. I mean, there was more work during that time, but, so many people were auditioning for, everything.
Well, yeah, and the Me Too thing was so big, and it was happening all around me, so it was so hard.
Oh.
It was just so hard, yeah. But it was a shame. I would take my tape, and I would give the agent all the time, and they would all say, well, it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and we're not going to it one more time,
Yeah. I see you hosted your own public access talk show.
That's right. I love doing that. I started out as a splatter show or something, and this guy contacted me. He was doing this, and I went, oh, okay. So I started out that way. I was just the host, and it was his deal. And then I was taking over the whole thing. And I was casting my people who come in. I used to do Wes Craven. I did people I knew. I did my theme, what I wanted for that show, and it was really fun. Yeah, it was really fun. Janus Blythe show on cable TV, and then my producer at the time, the student who started the whole thing, he got very sick, so he had to stop totally, and so did I. So someone said to me, "Janice, you got all that stuff on film. You could just rerun it now on these shows." I'm going, well, I'm not very good at self-promoting. I'm not. I was good at busting in on somebody else's interview, showing up where I wasn't even invited,
Yeah.
Self-promoting stuff, I'm just never been good at. I did a couple of those horror sci-fi conventions, signing autographs way back when. There was Michael, he continued on. And I didn't. I'm just not good at that stuff until they contacted me to get back into that, see? So, I guess I'm a little more of an A personality, and I don't. Let me just be honest. But I am doing something on the 29th of this month.
Nice.
Yeah, on October 29th, out here in Palm Springs, there's a bar called Quads. That's Quadz. In Palm Springs, it's at 200 South Indian Canyon. If anybody wants to come over, about 5 o'clock on. We have different, because Filmmakers Gallery, they do tributes on Tuesdays to different filmmakers. And on the 29th, they're doing Hitchcock, and I'm a special guest.
Nice.
There's a little thing on me. I'll be there live in person, and I'll have to buy some footage they're going to show. And so that's going to be fun. So that's the 29th. Coming up October 29th at Quads in Palm Springs.
Nice. Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's it right now.
Yeah, you'll know if there's any Hills Have Eyes reunions coming up or anything?
I keep, asking, and my manager in that area, we did like 3, and he said, no one's asking for it, which I'm surprised because I get still. I love it. There are so many fans. I've been so lucky with Massacre of Paradise, Melting Man, Eating Alive, Hills Have Eyes, all became little cult films and have followings. And I'm surprised to not doing more of those, especially with Michael Berryman. I thought Ruby and Pluto would be together.
Yeah.
But he's done so many more films. He has an endless resume there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I'm open to them, though. Believe me.
Yeah.
I love doing those.
I had so much fun, meeting you all at Cinemonster Palooza 3 years ago. And
okay.
I wish I had gotten a picture with you or something, though. But I was budgeting that day because I spent so much money on Friday night at that convention. But I did get it with Suze and Dee and Michael, though, and so I had to cut my my autograph money down that day and stuff. But Yeah, it was great meeting you and Martin, and then Don Peak, who I've had on the podcast as well.
Well, send me your address and I'll send you a photo.
Oh, I would love that so much.
Would you? Okay, I'll send you all that photos, no problem.
Oh, thank you so much, Janice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Absolutely. Well, it was such an honor to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
And yeah, I'll text you my address, and we'll get that done.
Yeah, since you're involved in all this all the time, you get me one of those conventions. Get me. I'll gladly go.
I'm trying to get my foot in the door as well. I got to start getting tables there and passing out flyers for this podcast because I haven't done that yet. And I will, but I do suggest people. I mean, 2 years ago, I suggested a whole lot of people for Monsterpalooza, and somehow they listened to me. So, it could happen again.
Yes. Absolutely agree. I love my fans. If it wasn't for the fans, there wouldn't be any films, because especially, see, what I love about you, and with this, especially in the horror genre, is the acting is not good. Mm-hmm. You don't believe them, the film just flops. So that's what I love about doing those films, because you really have to, come up to the mark and be good. And the fans are there for you, support all the way. So that's just wonderful, wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Janice. You have yourself a great day.
You too, sweetie. Thank you for calling. I'm glad we finally did this.
Yes, I'm so glad too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, Tom.
Well, there you have it. Janus Blythe. Ain't she a sweetheart? Very fascinating lady, very fascinating stories about the world of Hollywood. And I'm glad we finally got to connect. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.